frozen winter of February 1855, the people of East and South Devon awoke to a scene that would haunt them for years. As dawn broke, a trail of strange, unearthly footprints marred the fresh snow, weaving through the landscape with an unnatural precision. These prints, soon to be called the Devil's Footprints, left a mark of terror and mystery across Devon, as villagers whispered tales of the devil himself stalking their lands. The footprints were unlike anything seen before. They stretched in a single line, each print spaced with eerie regularity, each one an unmistakable hoof shape, cloven and pointed, as if made by a creature far from this world. Stranger still, the prints were measured precisely 8 inches apart, suggesting a creature that moved with unerring speed and purpose. They crossed through fields, over rivers, and even appeared on rooftops, ignoring natural obstacles as if they were nothing. No walls, hedges, or even snow-covered thatched roofs hindered the path of these prints. It was as though something had passed through Devon, defying the laws of nature and mocking human understanding. The villagers were gripped by fear. Some claimed it was a demon, or perhaps even Satan himself, paying a visit to remind them of his presence. Priests were called to bless homes, while locals huddled around fires, hoping that warmth and prayer might keep the dark force at bay. Those who dared to follow the footprints were led through twisted paths, only to find themselves back where they started, as if the creature had moved in circles, toying with its pursuers. Sightings of strange, shadowy figures spread rapidly. A farmer reported hearing faint, mocking laughter as he walked alone through the woods one night, his eyes catching a fleeting glimpse of a dark form in the trees. Another villager swore that she saw a pair of glowing red eyes watching from her window, disappearing only when she crossed herself and muttered a prayer. Tales like these fueled the belief that the devil's footprints were not just a physical presence, but a sign of something deeply sinister lurking just beyond sight. The phenomenon lasted for a single, harrowing night, the footprints stretching for miles before they abruptly vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared. In the days that followed, the snow melted and the tracks faded into legend, yet the fear remained. People spoke of it in hushed tones, glancing over their shoulders, as if expecting the devil to return, his footprints renewed in fresh snow. To this day, no one has explained the devil's footprints. Were they a prank, a trick of nature, or something far darker, a message from the underworld itself? The villagers of Devon may never know, but one thing is certain. On cold, moonlit nights, when the winter's silence deepens. In this calming bedtime tale, we'll explore the curious urban legend of the 999 phone charging myth, a story about a phone trick that never quite worked, but sparked imaginations. Relax and enjoy. The 999 phone charging myth is a widely circulated urban legend, particularly in the United Kingdom, that claims calling 999, the UK's emergency services number, can magically charge a mobile phone's battery. According to the myth, dialing the number and then immediately hanging up is supposed to give your phone an instant boost of power, effectively extending its battery life. This claim, although entirely false, has been surprisingly persistent, with many people over the years believing or at least wondering if there's some truth to it. While the exact origin of the myth is unclear, it likely began circulating in the early days of mobile phones, when people were still learning the nuances of how these devices worked. Some suggest it may have originated from confusion around how phones access emergency services even when they appear to have no signal or very low battery. This feature, which allows phones to make emergency calls even in unfavorable conditions, may have been misunderstood, leading to the belief that calling 999 somehow recharges the phone. In the age of social media, the myth gained new life. People posted about their experiences trying the trick, and discussions on online forums, blogs, and social networks helped spread the false information further. The myth was particularly appealing because it offered a seemingly quick fix to a common problem: a dying phone battery at an inconvenient time. The reality is that calling 999 does not charge your phone. Mobile phones are powered by batteries that require electrical charging from an external source, like a wall socket, power bank, or USB connection. Emergency numbers like 999, 911, or 112 do not have the capability to transmit any form of electrical charge to a mobile device. The idea that merely making a phone call could restore battery life is not supported by any scientific or technical evidence. In fact, making a phone call when your battery is already low can drain it further, especially if the call is placed to an emergency line. Mobile phones consume more power when trying to connect to emergency services, particularly if the signal is weak. So, far from saving battery life, calling 999 could actually lead to your phone shutting down faster. While the myth may seem harmless, it can have serious consequences. In the UK, calling 999 without a legitimate emergency wastes time and resources for emergency operators and responders. Every unnecessary call diverts attention from real emergencies where lives might be at stake. In extreme cases, repeated hoax calls can result in legal consequences. Intentionally making prank calls to emergency services is a criminal offense in many countries, and those caught misusing these numbers may face fines or even imprisonment. In the UK, making hoax calls to 999 can lead to legal action under the Communications Act 2003. Emergency service organizations, mobile phone companies, and fact-checking websites have repeatedly debunked the 999 phone charging myth. These efforts aim to educate the public about how mobile phones and emergency services really work in hopes of preventing misuse. In a world where misinformation can spread quickly, it's important to approach such claims with skepticism and rely on credible sources for information. If your phone battery is low, the only way to recharge it is to connect it to a power source. No phone call, emergency or otherwise, will change that. In summary, the 999 phone charging myth is just that, a myth. It's essential to understand how mobile phones function and to avoid making false calls to emergency numbers, ensuring that emergency services remain available for those who truly need them. illness was known as consumption, due to how it appeared to waste away its victims. George Brown, the patriarch, watched helplessly as one by one his loved ones fell ill and died. His wife, Mary Eliza, was the first to succumb, followed by his eldest daughter, Mary Olive, both taken within a few short years of each other. Despite these losses, George hoped the worst had passed. However, his youngest daughter, Mercy Brown, soon fell ill with the same symptoms. Mercy was a bright young woman, but tuberculosis did not spare her, and she died in January 1892 at the age of 19. Her death left the Brown family devastated, but the horror was not yet over. Just weeks after Mercy's passing, her brother, Edwin, who had been ill for some time, took a turn for the worse. Fearing for his life, desperate measures were taken, leading to the birth of an enduring legend. At the time, tuberculosis was not well understood, and in many rural communities, fear and superstition spread almost as quickly as the disease itself. In Exeter, some townsfolk began to whisper about the possibility of something more sinister. Could the dead be rising from their graves to drain the life from the living? This idea, while unthinkable to modern sensibilities, was deeply rooted in folklore at the time. In New England, there was a long-standing belief in vampires. Though these vampires were not the glamorous creatures of Gothic fiction, but rather the restless dead rising from their graves to consume the life force of their living relatives. George Brown, despite being a practical man, was persuaded by his neighbours to exhume the bodies of his deceased family members, hoping to find the cause of Edwin's worsening condition. In March of 1892, with the ground still frozen, a small group of men gathered in the graveyard where the Browns were buried. They first dug up the remains of George's wife and eldest daughter, but both had decomposed as expected. Then they turned to Mercy. Unlike the others, Mercy's body was found to be in a strangely preserved state, even though she had been buried for over 2 months. Her skin still appeared relatively intact, and there were even rumours that her body had shifted in the grave, as though she had been moving after death. The most alarming discovery, however, was the presence of fresh blood in her heart and veins. Tonight, we explore the mysterious legend of Black Aggie, a haunting statue once feared for its supernatural powers. Relax, settle in, and let this eerie tale gently guide you to sleep. Black Aggie is an eerie urban legend centred around a mysterious statue that once stood at the grave of General Felix Agnes, Ridge Cemetery. On the windswept shores of Cape Henlopen State Park, where the Atlantic whispers ancient secrets to the rugged cliffs, there prowls an eerie phenomenon known as the corpse light. To the untrained eye, it might appear a beacon of safety, a lighthouse guiding weary travellers home. But to those familiar with its cursed history, it is a harbinger of doom, a deceptive glow that leads only to despair and death. The legend of the corpse light began in the fog-laden nights of the 18th century, a time when smugglers and pirates frequented these waters, weaving through the treacherous shoals and hidden reefs. It is said that one fateful night, a band of smugglers, heavy with illicit cargo, spied a light gleaming through the dense fog. Believing it to be the lighthouse, they steered their vessel towards it, hearts light with relief. But as they drew closer, the light mysteriously vanished, leaving them to the merciless embrace of the rocks. The ship was shattered, swallowed by the hungry sea, and all hands were lost to the depths. From that night on, the corpse light appeared sporadically, always to unsuspecting sailors, its ghostly glow a false promise of safety. Tales spread of a spectral lantern held aloft by a shadowy figure clad in the tattered remnants of colonial garb, doomed to forever reenact his treachery. Some whispered that he was the spirit of a lighthouse keeper who had conspired with pirates, others that he was a wronged sailor, seeking vengeance against those who sailed these cursed waters. Local folklore insists that to see the corpse light is an omen of impending disaster. Fishermen refuse to set sail if the light is seen, and sailors mutter prayers when passing the cape after dusk. It's not just the beacon that terrifies them, but the sudden cold that seeps into the bones at its sighting, and the inexplicable malaise that descends upon the beholder. On stormy nights, when the thunder rolls and lightning illuminates the sea, the corpse light dances across the waves, elusive and taunting. Some brave souls have tried to follow it, to uncover its origins or end its spectral wanderings. Yet none have succeeded, and many have not returned, their fates whispered in hushed tones in the local taverns. The corpse light remains one of the most chilling legends of Cape Henlopen, a reminder of the sea's dark power to enchant and ensnare. It continues to haunt the coastline, a phantom lighthouse that guides not to safe harbour, but to a watery grave, its mournful light a testament to the souls it has claimed. Tonight, we journey to Iowa City, where the eerie legend of the Black Angel awaits. Let the mysterious tale of this cursed statue guide you into a peaceful and restful sleep. The Black Angel is a haunting urban legend centered around a statue in Oakland Cemetery, Iowa City. The statue, standing over 8 feet tall, was erected in 1912 to mark the grave of Teresa Feldovert, a woman of Czech descent. Over time, the statue gained a sinister reputation, and many locals began to believe it was cursed. The Black Angel originally had a bright bronze colour, but as the years passed, it darkened to a deeper black, which fueled the legend's eerie narrative. Some say the changing colour represents the anger or grief of Teresa's spirit, wooden statue is an omen of death, with various warnings attached to it. One popular belief is that anyone who touches or kisses the statue will be met with an untimely death. Another variation claims that those who look directly into the angel's eyes at midnight will be cursed. The statue's mysterious appearance, combined with its dark colour and imposing presence, has made it a popular sight for paranormal enthusiasts and thrill seekers. Many visit the cemetery to test the legend, while others keep their distance, unwilling to risk the supposed curse. Though the Black Angel story is rooted in local folklore, the real cause of the statue's discoloration is simply weathering and oxidation of the bronze. Despite this, the legend remains a captivating part of Iowa City's history, continuing to intrigue and frighten those who hear it. Whether cursed or not, the Black Angel stands as a reminder of how myths can grow around even the most ordinary objects. In the shadowy annals of New England's history, amidst tales of spectral figures and cursed lands, the story of Eunice Cole, or Goody Cole, stands out with a chilling resonance. In the small town of Brentwood, New Hampshire, her name became synonymous with witchcraft and woe, her life a testament to the dark superstitions that once gripped the heart of the 17th century. Goody Cole was an enigmatic figure, her life shrouded in misfortune and mystery. First accused of witchcraft in 1656, she became the scapegoat for every disaster that befell the town, from unexplained deaths to failing crops and dying livestock. Her neighbours' fear and suspicion branded her an outcast, a woman touched by the devil himself. The townsfolk whispered that she could be seen muttering to herself in the woods, concocting strange brews and communing with unseen forces. Children dared each other to peek through her dimly lit windows, only to flee in terror at the sight of her shadowy form bending over a flickering flame. It was said that she cast curses with a glance and summoned storms with a wave of her gnarled hands. Her repute as a witch grew so dire that in 1673 she was accused once more. This time, the evidence was more damning, the fear more palpable. They dragged her before the court, her eyes blazing with defiance as the charges were read. Found guilty, she was sentenced to imprisonment, her final years spent in the cold, dark confines of a cell, where she was left to languish, forgotten by all but those who feared her curse. But death did not bring Goody Cole peace. The town, eager to rid itself of her malignant influence once and for all, buried her in an unmarked grave at the edge of the cemetery. They drove a stake through the heart of her plot, a grim ritual to prevent her tormented spirit from rising and haunting them. Yet, this act only solidified her legend, and it was said that her spirit lingered, malevolent and vengeful. To this day, eerie occurrences in Brentwood are often whispered to be the workings of Goody Cole's restless ghost. On stormy nights, some claim to see her figure in the flashes of lightning, wandering the woods or standing by her unmarked grave, still bound by the town's collective dread. Her legend has become a chilling reminder of the power of fear and the lasting stain of injustice, her story echoing through the centuries as a spectral tale of a woman wronged, her vengeance immortalised in the whispered fears ears of those who remember. Relax and unwind as we delve into the eerie tale of the Buckley family, an urban legend shrouded in mystery. Let the chilling story guide you gently into a deep, peaceful sleep. The Buckley family urban legend revolves around a chilling photograph of two children who reportedly murdered their mother on Halloween night. The story begins with the discovery of an old, grainy, black and white photo found in an abandoned house, showing a young boy and girl standing side by side. At first glance, the picture seems innocent, but upon closer inspection, there's something unnerving about the children's blank expressions. The story behind the photo is far more sinister. According to legend, the Buckley family lived in a quiet neighbourhood in the 1950s. On Halloween, the two Buckley children, who were around 10 and 12 years old, brutally murdered their mother in cold blood. They supposedly planned the murder for weeks, waiting for the perfect night when no one would suspect their horrific intentions. Some versions of the tale say the children wore Halloween costumes to hide their identities, making it harder for the neighbours to realise the terrible act they had committed. After killing their mother, the children left her body in the house and calmly walked outside as if nothing had happened. When the authorities arrived, the children were found sitting on the porch, eerily silent, still wearing their costumes, their hands stained with blood. The photograph that surfaced after the incident is said to have been taken moments before or after the murder, capturing the children in their eerie calmness. Some believe the image was discovered by the police as part of their investigation, while others say it was found years later in the abandoned Buckley house, where the children had been left to live after the tragedy. The whereabouts of the children after the murder remain unknown, adding to the mystery and fear surrounding the story. Over time, the Buckley family legend became a popular urban myth, with various retellings on online forums and in ghost story circles. The photograph itself has become a symbol of fear, said to be cursed. Anyone who gazes at it too long or too often experiences terrible nightmares, or even worse, finds themselves drawn into the same darkness that consumed the Buckley children. The Buckley family tale continues to be passed down as a reminder of the horrors that can lurk behind seemingly innocent faces, forever leaving a haunting impression on those who hear it. Tonight we explore the mysterious legend of the Beast of Exmoor, a phantom cat said to roam the moors of Devon and Somerset. Relax, unwind, and let this calming tale guide you to sleep. The Beast of Exmoor, also known as the Exmoor Beast, is a legendary creature believed to be a large phantom cat that roams the moors and fields of Exmoor in Devon and Somerset, United Kingdom. The legend first gained widespread attention in the late 1970s, when farmers in the region began reporting mysterious livestock killings, particularly sheep that appeared to have been savaged by a large predator. Over the years, sightings of the beast continued, with eyewitnesses describing it as a big cat, often resembling a panther or puma, with sleek black fur and glowing eyes. The Beast of Exmoor became notorious in the 1980s, when more reports of mutilated livestock surfaced, leading to speculation losses pushed for investigations, and even the British military was called in at one point to search for the elusive creature. Despite numerous attempts to track down the beast, no conclusive evidence was ever found to confirm its existence. Some believe that the beast might be an exotic pet that was released into the wild, possibly a big cat such as a puma or leopard that managed to survive and adapt to the moors. Others think the beast is purely mythical, a product of local folklore that has grown over time. The British government conducted an investigation in the mid-1980s, but like other inquiries, it failed to provide any definitive answers. To this day, the Beast of Exmoor remains a part of local legend, with occasional sightings still being reported. Whether real or imagined, the beast continues to captivate the imagination of those who live near or visit the wild, untamed moors of Exmoor, adding a layer of mystery to the beautiful landscape. We journey into the misty woods of Bradley, where the sorrowful spirit of the Black Lady roams. Let her quiet footsteps guide you into a peaceful, restful sleep. The Black Lady of Bradley Woods is a haunting figure from English folklore, said to roam the dark and mysterious woods near the village of Bradley in Lincolnshire. This spectral presence has been a part of local legend for centuries, with many claiming to have caught glimpses of her wandering the woods, shrouded in sorrow and silence. Described as a tall, slender woman, dressed entirely in black, the Black Lady is most often seen wearing a long, flowing cloak with a hood that covers her face. Her appearances are always marked by an overwhelming sense of sadness and grief, as if she is forever searching for something or someone lost. Her skin is pale, and her eyes, when visible, are filled with an eternal sorrow that seems to pierce through those who encounter her. According to the most well-known version of the legend, the Black Lady was once a young woman during the medieval period who lived happily with her husband, a soldier, and their newborn child in a cottage near the woods. However, her peaceful life was shattered when her husband was called away to fight in the wars. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but he never returned. Then, one tragic night, a group of soldiers reportedly attacked the village, killing many and abducting the young woman's child. Devastated by the loss of her family, the young mother wandered the woods, searching endlessly for her child, until her grief consumed her, and she eventually perished. From that moment on, her restless spirit is said to have remained bound to the woods, eternally searching for her lost baby. Locals claim that the Black Lady appears most often on misty evenings, her figure emerging from the shadows of the trees. Some say she will ask passers-by if they have seen her child, while others report that she simply stares, lost in her grief, before vanishing back into the darkness. Over the years, the legend of the Black Lady has served as a cautionary tale for children, warning them to stay away from the woods after dark. While many are sceptical, there are still those who believe in her presence, and stories of sightings continue to circulate. Whether real or imagined, the Black Lady of Bradley Woods remains a symbol of deep sorrow and eternal longing. Her tragic story lingers in the minds of those who hear it, casting a shadow of mystery and sadness over the quiet village of Bradley. We dive into the unsettling tale of the colander lie detector, a strange and eerie urban legend. Settle in, relax, and let this mysterious story guide you gently into sleep. An eerie urban legend from the 1960s speaks of a chilling interrogation method used by police or army investigators. It began with a crude yet unsettling setup. A colander, typically used for straining pasta, repurposed into a nightmarish piece of equipment. The investigators would place this everyday kitchen item onto the head of a suspect, but its sinister transformation didn't end there. Wires connected the colander to a photocopier, creating the illusion of advanced technology. In a dimly lit interrogation room, the suspect would sit nervously as the investigators loomed over them, watching intently. The tension was palpable, the walls closing in as the suspect was bombarded with questions. The investigators' eyes would dart back and forth between the suspect and the machine, waiting for the first crack in their story. Each time the suspect answered, the photocopier would whir to life, spitting out a fresh sheet of paper. The sound of its mechanical churning filled the room, amplifying the sense of dread. If the answer was deemed acceptable, the machine remained silent, offering a brief respite. But if the investigators found the response suspicious or dishonest, the copier would hiss and clunk, printing a single sheet with a damning message. He's lying. The effect was immediate. Suspects, already frazzled and scared, would crumble under the pressure of the so-called lie detector, convinced that the colander was exposing their every falsehood. They couldn't know that it was all a cruel trick. The investigators manipulated the machine, not through science or technology, but through psychological warfare. The power of suggestion turned the colander and photocopier into terrifying tools, blurring the line between reality and fiction. Some say the interrogators used this method for years, laughing behind closed doors at how easily their victims were broken by the sight of a kitchen utensil on their head. But as with any legend, the line between truth and myth is thin. Stories began to circulate of suspects who couldn't handle the pressure, of minds unravelling as they became trapped in a game where the stakes felt life or death. Whispers Black Volga is an urban legend that circulated in Eastern Europe, especially during the 1960s and 1970s. It centres around a mysterious black Volga limousine that was allegedly used to abduct people, particularly children. According to the legend, the car would appear suddenly on quiet streets, driven by unknown figures, often described as government agents, priests, or even supernatural beings like vampires or the devil himself. The rumours varied from region to region, but one constant remained. Anyone who saw the Black Volga or came too close to it would disappear without a trace. In some versions, the victims were taken for organ harvesting, while others claimed they were used in bizarre occult rituals. Children were the most common targets, vanishing after being approached by the ominous vehicle, leading to widespread fear among parents. Some believed the kidnappings were part of a larger government conspiracy, while others suspected that foreign powers or even secret societies were behind the abductions. The vehicle itself, typically a black Volga, Gazi 21 or Gazi 24, became synonymous with fear. The dark windows, the eerie silence as it moved, and the inability to identify the driver or passengers added to the sense of dread. In some accounts, the Volga had red curtains, horns, or other demonic features. The myth grew as people claimed to see the car speeding through the neighbourhoods or lurking near schools and playgrounds. Although there is no substantial evidence to support these claims, the Black Volga legend played into the anxieties of the time, when people lived under oppressive regimes and feared the unknown. The cold, controlling nature of Soviet rule, combined with stories of disappearances, fueled paranoia. The legend of the Black Volga became a way to explain the unexplainable. A person goes missing, and the car was blamed. Over time, the story evolved and spread beyond Eastern Europe, becoming part of a broader tapestry of urban legends. Though the panic surrounding the Black Volga has faded, it remains a chilling reminder of how fear can drive communities to believe in the darkest of tales. We dive into the eerie legend of the Chonchon, a mythical creature that haunts the night skies. Let its chilling tale lull you into a peaceful sleep, if you dare. Deep in the shadowy forests of Chile and southern Argentina, an ancient terror lurks in the night, whispered in hushed tones among villagers. The Chonchon is no ordinary creature. Its very existence defies nature, sending shivers down the spines of those who dare speak its name. Legend has it that the Chonchon is not a bird, but a cursed being, a sorcerer who has performed a dark ritual to transform into this horrifying creature. In the dead of night, the sorcerer's head detaches from its body, sprouting enormous wings from the ears. Blood-curdling cries, like the screams of 1,000 tormented souls, signal its arrival. The sound, known as tutu, chills the air, forewarning death for anyone who hears it. They say the Chonchon soars through the night skies in search of prey, gliding silently above the rooftops of unsuspecting villages. Those unfortunate enough to cross its path rarely live to tell the tale. It is said that the Chonchon can slip into homes undetected, like a whisper on the wind, draining the life force of its victims, leaving them pale and hollow by dawn. Those who survive its attack are left forever haunted, their minds shattered by the encounter. Many have tried to catch a glimpse of the Chonchon, but only a few ever return from their hunts, and those who do are never the same emotions are fragmented, as though the horror of what they witnessed burned itself into their minds. The Chanchon's eyes, they say, are glowing red orbs, filled with a malevolent intelligence far older than time. Its wings beat with unnatural silence, a deadly predator slipping through the night like a phantom. It is said that only the most skilled of shamans can undo the curse of the Chanchon, but these rituals are dangerous, and failure means the sorcerer's twisted form will be free to wreak havoc for eternity. To this day, villagers lock their doors and windows tight when they hear the faintest whisper of the Chanchon's cry. The wind, though invisible, might carry death with it, for the Chanchon does not rest. It hungers, always searching for its next victim, always lurking in the darkness, just out of sight. So, beware the stillness of the night, for you may never know if the next faint flap of wings you hear belongs to the Chanchon, until it's too late. Tonight, we bring you the amusing tale of the baby train. Relax as we explore this light-hearted urban legend of how a simple train whistle led to an unexpected baby boom. The baby train is a humorous urban legend that tells the story of a small town with an unusually high birth rate, allegedly caused by an early morning train. According to the legend, a train would pass through the town every day at 5 a.m, blowing its whistle loudly and waking up the residents, because it was too late to go back to sleep, but still too early to start their day. Many couples would turn to each other and engage in intimate activities to pass the time. This, the story goes, led to a surprising mini baby boom in the town. The charm of the baby train legend lies in a simple, almost innocent explanation for the town's population growth. The idea that a regular and mundane event like a train whistle can influence something as significant as the town's birth rate adds to the humour and appeal of the story. It's a light-hearted and somewhat plausible tale that could easily be shared at parties or over casual conversations, evoking smiles and laughter. Despite its amusing premise, mysterious figure lurking in the darkened streets of Scotland, where shadows hide untold secrets. In the darkened streets of Greenock, Scotland, a sinister legend lurks in the shadows, a tale whispered since the 1970s. The Catman of Greenock, a creature both feared and pitied, has haunted the alleyways, becoming a story that locals tell in hushed voices to keep their children close at night. The Catman was said to be human once. No one really knows his name, nor what series of cruel misfortunes led him to crawl through the gutters, scavenging to survive. They say he emerged from the forgotten corners of society, driven by desperation, until his body took on a twisted, primal state. His skin is pallid, coated with grime and dirt, his eyes sunken, but glinting with an animalistic gleam. The Catman scuttles along the alleys and underpasses, always staying close to the ground, moving with an unsettling feline grace. It is said that he survives on rats, devouring them with his bare hands. Eyewitnesses claim to have seen him in the dead of night, his filthy fingers closing around a writhing rodent, sinking his teeth into the squirming creature, the crunch of bone and squeal of his prey echoing faintly against the bricks. The very sight of it sends shivers down the spine, a glimpse of a forgotten human reduced to something almost feral. Yet, it's not just the rats that keep the Catman company. Rumours tell of a colony of wild cats that live alongside him, creatures drawn to him by some inexplicable bond. They say he cares for them, shares his meals with them, and they, in turn, protect him. A grim pact between the lost and the forsaken. Locals swear they've seen him surrounded by these creatures, his bony hands stroking their mangy fur as if they were his only family. To some, he's become a twisted guardian of the alleyways, a protector of the stray and forgotten. People say if you wander the outskirts of Greenock at night, you might just catch a glimpse of him, eyes glowing like those of the wild cats, staring from the shadows. The bravest claim to have seen his crooked silhouette crawling across the ground, always close to his feline companions. Some who have dared to approach say they've heard him hiss, a low, guttural warning, more animal than man. No one knows where the Catman sleeps, or if he ever does. He vanishes with the sunrise, retreating to some dark hole beneath the streets, leaving only unease in his wake. To see the Catman of Greenock is to witness a living nightmare, a reminder of how close we all are to the edge of something monstrous, something forgotten, something no longer entirely human. Tonight we journey to the misty moors of Cornwall to uncover the legend of the beast of Bodmin Moor. Relax, unwind, and let this mysterious tale help you drift into sleep. The beast of Bodmin Moor is a popular folklore legend from Cornwall, England, centred around sightings of a mysterious, large, black cat-like creature. First reported in 1978, the legend of the beast quickly gained traction as locals began to claim encounters with a phantom panther or leopard-like animal roaming the wild expanses of Bodmin Moor. This eerie creature was said to have sleek black fur, glowing eyes, and a muscular build, often compared to big cats that typically wouldn't be found in the English countryside. The beast of Bodmin Moor gained further notoriety, with reports of mutilated livestock, particularly sheep, that appeared to have been slain by a large predator. Farmers and locals were alarmed by these unexplained killings, which led to speculation that a dangerous wild animal was on the loose. The creature was believed to be responsible for these attacks, and over time the legend grew, with sightings occasionally reported evidence of the beast's existence has ever been found. The government's inquiry concluded that there was no verifiable proof of big cats living in the area, though this did little to dispel the legend. Some suggest that the beast might be an escaped exotic pet, while others believe it's purely myth. To this day, the beast of Bodmin Moor remains a staple of local folklore, continuing to spark curiosity and fear among both residents and visitors to the moor, adding a layer of mystery to the rugged landscape of Cornwall. Tonight, let me guide you into the shadows of ancient Spain, where the chilling legend of the Castilian lisp unfolds. Relax, close your eyes, and let the whispers of history lull you to sleep. In the dark corners of Spain's forgotten history, a chilling tale has lingered for centuries, whispered among locals and passed down from generation to generation. Is the legend of the Castilian lisp, a haunting story that, while discredited by scholars, continues to send shivers down the spines of those who hear it. Long ago, in a time when kings ruled with an iron fist and the boundaries between myth and reality were blurred, there was a king unlike any other. His name has been lost to the shadows of time, but his affliction, an unmistakable lisp, would echo across Spain, leaving a trail of fear and confusion in its wake. The king's speech was strange, almost inhuman, as though something had cursed his very words. His voice carried an eerie sibilance, a sound that cut through the air like the hiss of a snake. The court, terrified of the king's wrath, dared not speak of his speech defect, but whispers of dark magic and ancient curses spread beyond the castle walls, infecting the imagination of the populace. It was said that the king's lisp was no mere quirk of speech, but the result of a sinister pact made with forces beyond this world. Some claimed he had bargained with a demon for power, and in return his tongue was twisted, forcing him to speak in a way that no one else could. Others believed that a vengeful witch had cursed him, condemning his voice to forever sound as though it were tethered to the underworld. As the legend goes, the king was a man of great influence, and no one dared to correct his speech. Instead, out of fear, the courtiers and nobles began to mimic the king's pronunciation. His strange lisp spread like a disease, infecting the tongues of those who sought to curry favour with the crown. Soon, it was said, the entire kingdom spoke as their king did, their voices carrying the cursed sound of the theatre. The streets echoed with the eerie lisp, a constant reminder of the dark secret lurking in Spain's past. Children grew up speaking the language of the damned, unaware of the malevolent forces that had shaped their words. Though historians have debunked this tale as pure fantasy, the legend persists, a chilling reminder of how even the most benign of sounds can carry with them the weight of a curse. The next time you hear the soft hiss of a